We're fortunate to have Darren Marr from the Sheriff's Office here this morning. Would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, Darren?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the July 10th, 2017 meeting of the Shawnee County Board of Commissioners. My name is Bob Archer. I currently serve as chair of the commission and represent District 3 alongside Commissioner Shelley Bueller, who represents District 1, and Commissioner Kevin Cook, who represents District 2. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Let's get started, please.
First item is item 3, consent agenda.
And may I interrupt just briefly to ask if there's no disagreement to strike item F1 because there's more research needed before it comes before the commission. So if there's no objection to that, we're going to strike F1. Again, I'm sorry, County Clerk, so if you please.
Okay, item 3, consent agenda.
Questions or comments on the consent agenda? There were 2 items.
I have no questions. I'll move approval.
Second.
Motion made to approve the consent agenda by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item 4, new business A, County Clerk, number 1, consider all voucher payments.
Commissioners, this morning we have vouchers that total $755,891.27. The highlights out of the voucher report are health insurance premiums, payments for the state of Kansas for the motor vehicle fund, bridge expenditures, withholding tax for employees, Department of Corrections, and then Parks and Recreation. I do not have any questions regarding the vouchers and would move for their approval.
Second.
Motion made to approve the vouchers by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item A2, consider correction orders.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Motion made to approve the correction orders by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye. Opposed no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item B, planning, number 1, public hearing regarding the request to vacate a portion of a platted 70-foot building setback line at 4401 Northwest Valley Road in Minokan Township to accommodate the construction of a detached accessory garage on the property, and consider approval of the order of vacation.
Good morning, Commissioners. Barry Beagle, Shawnee County Planning Department. There we go. That's what I want. Okay. Get rid of some of these things here. Sorry. The request before you is by Amy Brandstetter Pyatt, if I'm saying the last name correctly, is that, back up. Okay, here we go. No. Sorry. We'll try it the old-fashioned way. So this is a request to vacate a portion of a 70-foot platted building setback line with respect to property at 4401 Northwest Valley Road. The vacation is sought to accommodate construction of a 30-foot by 50-foot detached accessory garage on the property. The owner originally sought and was granted a building permit to construct a 30 by 50 detached garage compliant with a 30-foot front yard setback requirement along Northwest 44th Street. And at that time, they were also granted an entrance permit by the township to allow for the entrance to come out onto Valley Road. Well, unfortunately, after the pad was poured, it was discovered that the building encroached into the platted 70-foot building setback line as established by the Platted subdivision. The vacation which is sought is only to vacate that portion of the platted building setback that the building extends into. This exhibit identifies the corner lot that the Pyatts own, and it has a 70-foot platted building setback line along both street frontages for both Valley Road as well as 44th Street. And that area which is sought to be vacated is just this area outlined in red, which corresponds to the vacation request, and the building sits within that notch. The building otherwise would comply with the 30-foot required setback as established by the zoning district. The applicant currently occupies a 15,1700 square foot home within North Valley Farms subdivision that was constructed in 1992. There are currently no other structures that occupy the property, and the lot itself occupies 3.03 acres, which is comparable to other lots within the North Valley Farms subdivision. The subdivision, at the time it was platted in 1978, established deeper building setback lines along all street frontages than the traditional 30-foot front yard setback as required by zoning. Therefore, most lots or front building setbacks along all street frontages within the subdivision alternate between 50 feet and 70 feet of depth. The applicant's property, like I said, is a corner lot which has 70-foot platted building setbacks along both Valley Road as well as 44th Street. Well, as indicated at the time of building permit application, it went through the process and the permit was granted in December of 2016, and it was found to be compliant at that time, again, with the 30-foot front yard setback requirement of the zoning district. It was unfortunately after the pad was already poured on the property that it was discovered that the building actually encroached into the 70-foot platted building setback line. To remedy this situation, the applicant has chosen to file for the application to vacate only that portion of the platted building setback that corresponds to the building encroachment. Both the Public Works Department as well as the Health Department have evaluated this request and do not object to the proposed vacation. The vacation also does not interfere with any above-ground or below-ground utilities or utility easements associated with the property. This request was also submitted to the City of Topeka because the property lies within the 3-mile radius of the city for which they maintain subdivision authority, and they have expressed no opposition to the requested vacation. Again, the proposed vacation would permit the applicant to complete the detached garage in its present location. It would not obstruct sight distance visibility at the intersection of 44th and Valley Road. This is an unfortunate situation, and the building's location in a platted building setback was not discovered at the time of application. With that being said, it does not appear that the building in this location would have a detrimental effect on neighboring property. That said, we did notify those properties that immediately surround the subject property, which are outlined in red on this map, and indicated to them the date, time, and place of this hearing before the County Commission. Well, all that said, we think under the circumstances, the requested vacation, fortunately in this particular case, since it still results in compliance with the 30-foot front yard setback requirement, it would be our recommendation under the circumstances to grant this request for the vacation. That's all I get.
Questions for Mr. Beagle? I'll make a motion to open the public.
Oh, that's it.
Oh,
That's what I say, ask to open the public hearing.
okay,
Thank you.
no problem. I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Archer, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you for the reminder, Cindy. If anyone would like to discuss this item, this would be the appropriate time. Again, any comments on this recommendation?
I guess my comment would be,
Well, ma'am, would you please identify yourself?
Mrs. Brandstetter, and would greatly appreciate this to be approved, as we, like Mr. Beagle said, unfortunately, it was an error on several parts, and we're not going to encroach on anything, and the pad is already poured. We've already invested a significant amount of money for this, so we would appreciate the County Commission approving this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Tom Hensley. I own the property diagonally across from the said property, and I have no objections at all for the construction of the building.
Thank you for your comments, sir. Anyone else? I will make a motion to close the public hearing and approve the request.
A second.
Motion made to close the public hearing and approve the request by Commissioner Archer, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries three. Oh, okay. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item C, elections, number 1, acknowledge receipt of the 2018 certified budget of the election commissioner.
I will make a motion to acknowledge receipt, but I did want to note that this so-called certified budget dated July 6th, 2017, is an open record. Accordingly, the Commission will shortly respond with an open letter to the Secretary of State to address the misinformation in this document. And that's a motion.
Second.
Motion made to acknowledge by Commissioner Archer, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0. Next item, please.
Item D, extension office, number 1, consider approval of the 2018 budget request from Extension Council.
Good morning, Commissioners. Cindy Evans, Director with Shawnee County Extension. This is just the budget that we are providing that is a flat budget, and as I said last week, the two main changes, I would say, to this year's budget is that we are moving money from the salary and benefits line over to an equipment replacement line in anticipation of replacing a vehicle this year. I'd be glad to add more information if you'd like. I know tomorrow is our public hearing, so I'll just answer questions that you might have.
Questions or comments? I think the appropriate motion is to reject the budget and for it to be considered during the formal budget process. So that is a motion.
Second.
Motion made to reject by Commissioner Archer, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor say aye, opposed no. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you, Cindy. Next item, please.
Item E, Parks and Recreation, number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C-226-2017 with Enterprise Fleet Management for lease of 26 vehicles at an annual cost of $130,430.28.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Knight, Parks and Recreation. As the clerk just read, this is a request to enter into an agreement to replace many vehicles within our fleet. I did put together a little PowerPoint presentation to kind of give you some overview of what the process we went through. I also have with me today Terry Bertles, Deputy Director, and also Brent Holsether, who's our mechanic, lead mechanic within our department. And I should have learned from Barry, this mouse is pretty sensitive. There we go. Give you a brief history. 2012 was the last year that we had any funding available for the ongoing vehicle and equipment replacement needs of the department. In fact, the newest vehicle on our fleet, I believe, is a 2013 vehicle. The fleet that came over from the city of Topeka, I think the newest one in that is 2008. So we are, I would say that we've got our money's worth out of the vehicles that we've got. Again, on the history, last year, Betty Greiner worked with several departments to have a presentation and let us look at enterprise leasing as opposed to purchasing the vehicles. Some of the things that was discussed in that meeting and then taken to further levels by Brent and Terry were things like some of the savings by having the right vehicle for the right job. For many years, the plan of Parks and Recreation was we would buy pickups, use them by different staff that would put very few miles on them and then bump down a 3-4-year-old vehicle down to the next level maintenance supervisor, trying to get as many years out of it as we can. But we were probably not saving as much as we could by having the right vehicle for the right job. For instance, people driving a pickup getting 15, 18 miles per gallon versus somebody driving, and I don't mean to make a commercial for any vehicles, but using a Prius that may get 55 or 60 miles per gallon when they didn't need to have a pickup. Those type of things, and I'll get to a little bit later in this presentation of what those savings were. But there was also our fleet management software program. Brent was able to analyze quite a bit of that, and would be a significant reduction also in the maintenance cost by having newer vehicles in our fleet. And also, he's begun experimenting with turning over the vehicle at the optimal time right before it starts to become a cost to us. And with our records and our Fleet Pro management system, we were able to identify several of those. It's going to work better with this. Also, the Shawnee County Parks and Rec is currently going through a national accreditation process. We needed to come up with a plan for vehicle and equipment replacements, so staff also went to the extra steps to visit with other park agencies, other governmental entities, and what they are doing. One of the systems that we ran across that seemed to make the most sense to Parks and Recreation, although there's a lot of similarities between our fleet and other departments' fleets, there are also some significant differences. For instance, the large amount of temporary seasonals that come on. We have some vehicles that may sit idle at some times of the year, and we also have a higher use fleet of people running between community centers, running to one of our 137 different parks, all of those type of things. So the one that made the most sense to us was kind of modeled after Mercury and Associates. This template, we patterned this after our research after their template. It utilizes a usage review committee. We'll go through that periodically and have a committee reviewing all of these. We also helps us begin to establish annual utilization targets, and also requires staff, in which we kind of do too much of keeping low-cost units or low-use units, and make a justification process for keeping some of those. Again, just to remind you that the CAPRA standards, when or if we get approved for the national accreditation standards, would require this policy being reviewed probably every year or every 2 years on whether or not it's still making sense for us. How does that work? What Brent and his staff did was use this Mercury Associates template, but what it does is it assigns points for different categories. There's age, miles, the number of hours of use on stuff, what type of service it's being used for. For instance, is it a severe use or light use or normal use? Police vehicles are real similar use to what the Sheriff's Department uses their vehicles for. It's not uncommon for them to put ungodly amounts of mileage onto a vehicle in just a year's time. Administrative costs, a community center, some of their staff going to the store, meetings, different things like that would be a normal use, so you can see that we're ranking that more severe use with higher points. There's also the reliability factor. We documented over the course of several years how many times that's in the shop, how much is that costing us to keep that vehicle on the road. It also has some maintenance and repair costs, a little numbering system there that keeps that, and then also there's some judgment calls there on the condition of the vehicle. All of those points are put together, and then they're combined. And when this is kind of a little chart that shows at least what Mercury and Associates recommend we use. Anything under 18 is excellent. Everything between 18 and 22 is good, but the bottom line is when you get over 27 points, we need to immediately begin considering some other types of options. Now, this is where the research got scary, because the number of vehicles and equipment that we had over 27 was enormous. Just to help further explain this a little bit more to the public, we have 26 vehicles that we consider high-use vehicles. And they are, this proposal that's in front of you today would bring those high-use vehicles down to near the 27-point threshold. We wouldn't be underneath the 27-point threshold, but we'd be getting close. Many of the vehicles in our high-use fleet are have over 40 points. Some even have an over 50. But we would, this proposal would get us down close to the 27. We also have a seasonal use fleet, which we view those vehicles quite a bit different. The example that Brent has used to me is there's one that's got an enormous amount of points, but all it needs to do is carry the fuel twice a week from the Gage Park maintenance area over to the train to fill the train with fuel. So all we got to do is keep that running. That is, for instance, one of those is not one of those that we would consider replacing. These are also the seasonal use fleet, are a lot of them that the seasonals load up weed eaters, other maintenance equipment, and drive around to the smaller parks to get those taken care of. I think it's important to note that the trucks, many of the ones that we're requesting to be replaced came to the county in 2012 in poor condition. And in fact, Commissioner Archer may remember as city council, when he was his days on the city council, these are the same vehicles that back in 2008, the city fleet services guys went to the city council and wanted to replace those vehicles at that time. And we got another 6, 7, my math's off a little bit, 8 years out of them. We've also researched the how many vehicles we really needed to have replaced, how it would affect our workload, the fuel. Okay, now I didn't even touch anything on that one. How it would affect our workload, fuel economy, all of those type of things before we put this proposal together to come down to the commission. Here is some of the research that Brent and his staff have determined. By going to leased vehicles, we estimate that we would save about $14,000 a year just on the maintenance, ongoing maintenance of our vehicles. The fuel savings, we thought we'd save about $12,000 a year of a vehicle that would produce about 60 miles per gallon versus something that maybe gets 12 miles per gallon. The other interesting factor that we ran across when we were doing all of that is we noticed that we probably wouldn't need to refill one of our park mechanic positions. I put an asterisk by there because that would require us visiting with the Teamsters, some of those type of things. But technically, we could get by without with one less mechanic. Basically, the cost of the lease that's before you this morning is $130,000. As you can see from the savings annually, it's about $78,000, and the cost after the savings would be about $52,000 a year. We run that through Linda Kelly, who is our budget administrator for Shawnee County Parks and Rec, and we think we have sufficient funds to do that and significantly increase our fleet at the same time. With that being said, I turn this, if you have any questions or comments, both Terry and Brent are here today to answer any specific questions you may have.
Commissioner Bueller, you have
I
any
don't have any.
questions
I
about the
appreciate the
proposal?
presentation that helps give a good explanation of everything. No, I don't have any questions.
Commissioner Cook?
I don't have any questions either. I think the right vehicle for the right job. I mean, this is a mindset change with making sure that we're doing the best and not just looking at what's available for us. And so this is something that I support. I would move for approval of the agreement.
I'll second.
Okay, I do have a few questions, and I know when I first heard about this, I was skeptical as usual and asked John to document it and show the need, and I think he has pretty well. Done a good job. You mentioned talking to some other agencies about this process. Are other agencies utilizing a lease plan like we're getting ready to do with Enterprise?
Good morning, Commissioners. Terry Bertles, Parks and Recreation. And before I answer your question, let me introduce, please, if you will, Adam Oots. Adam is Senior Fleet Consultant with Enterprise Fleet Management, and he's been invaluable in his assistance to get us to this point. To your question, Commissioner, yes, there are many, or not, I shouldn't say many, a number of agencies and school districts and other governmental entities that are using enterprise fleet management specifically, and I'm sure others as well. I know the Kansas City area, the Kansas City metropolitan area, is on an uptick in transitioning from their own fleet and maintaining their own fleet to enterprise fleet leasing or similar type of leasing agencies, as well as school districts. And I'm sorry, I can't remember. Adam would be able to tell you for sure, but there are a number, and it's growing.
Okay.
Perhaps exponentially. I try not to be too hyperbolic, but perhaps exponentially.
Okay. One other question, and I really like the point system. I think that's a systematic approach that I really like. Were all of the 26 vehicles over 40 points? That was the impression I got, and some over 50.
Yes, they were all well over the high end of the mark, and many of them significantly over.
And 27 was immediately replaced, from what I recall.
I'm sorry, what was that?
The 27 point was
Yes, that was,
replaced immediately.
yeah, don't drive them, get rid of them.
Okay, very good.
One thing I would add is that our partnership with Enterprise Fleet Leasing, that's just exactly what it is. It's a partnership. It's not a one-day thing where here's your vehicles, we'll see you in 5 years. It's an ongoing partnership in working with them to continually evaluate our fleet, look at the vehicles that we have through them, and they may call us up one day and say, you know what, that vehicle, whatever that is, right now is the time for you to trade that in and to lease a new vehicle, because you may get up to 100% return on your initial cost on that vehicle. It's really evaluating and analyzing and managing your fleet for the best return on your investment, and in some cases that return on investment could be 100% with 2 or 3 years of use in between.
Okay. Thank you for the additional
Sure,
information.
sure.
I appreciate it. Motion made to approve by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you for your good
Thank you,
work,
Commissioners.
Terry. Next item, please.
Item F1 has been pulled.
Yep.
Item 5, Administrative Communications.
E2.
How about if we do E2?
There we go.
I was just so excited to have one. Oh, I know why I didn't want to read E2. It's big. Long.
Yeah.
You get to read it. It's your item. Okay. Item E2, consider approval of resolution number 2017-38 declaring the eligibility of Shawnee County, Kansas to submit an application to the Kansas Department of Transportation for use of transportation enhancement funds in the amount of $2,430,896 for the Deer Creek Trail project located in Dornwood Park, which includes the county match amount of $437,072, with funding to be requested from the 2018 capital outlay budget and an estimated design cost of $218,536, with funding still needed to be identified.
Commissioners, I know Brian Cole is not here, but this will be recorded, and I'll be able to play it for him, because he'll wonder if I brought up the words master plan during this presentation, and I will do that right now. This is an application to extend the Deer Creek Trail. If you'll remember, the Deer Creek Trail started at the Southeast 2nd Street, runs up to Southeast 10th Street, and then has stopped there for several years. This proposed extension would extend it from Southeast 10th about 1.7 miles into Dornwood Park, going across the Deer Creek Deer Creek as it goes through there. This extension would end up, would wind around, have access to our nature areas, also then would wind up and connect to Dornwood Park. As you know from the master plan, the trails access to nature are either number 1 or number 2 ranked in the needs for Shawnee County, but also the popularity of Shawnee County. This extension then would actually wind up through and connect to the joint parking lot that's used at Dornwood Trail and the Topeka Baseball, the Dornwood Trail, the splash pad, and also the Topeka Baseball and Softball Association parking lot there. By connecting there, Southeast 25th Street is one of the Topeka Bikeways connection, which then would connect you to the entire system of network trails for both the pedestrian plan, the bikeways plan, and the entire network of Shawnee County trails. This is a kind of an overview drawing. As you can see from the top of the screen there, that's where it currently stops. So this trail would go underneath I-70, go up along Carnahan or the creek that's there, go underneath the 17th Street, wind around following Deer Creek, and then enter into Dornwood Park. And you can kind of see that area as you can kind of see where that trail might go along. It doesn't, as I mentioned earlier, it does meet both the community visions for land and also strategies for land, which came right straight out of our master planning process in 2015, and that's to begin to connect all the trail systems throughout Shawnee County to have a regional parks that supports this, and hopefully to work toward 150 miles of trails. Any of these big projects, recently we've begun implementing a new policy in our department, and that's the major parks, projects and programs public engagement process that we have been doing a lot of stuff since 2012, a lot of things the citizens don't even know that we're doing, so we've, and also then to provide them some input, we've started this 10-step public engagement process, and I kind of wanted to go through that, one, to inform you of that policy, but then also to let you know which pieces of those we weren't able to do with this project. But as you can see there, it starts with the public and stakeholder engagement process. Even though this project didn't necessarily have a big component for public engagement, the overall trails and greenways plan that was produced back in 2000 that was signed off by the city of Topeka and Shawnee County did go through that process. A similar type, smaller type project was before this commission too in 2012, and we did do some public engagement at that time. Some of the research that has come out of this process is right straight out of the master plan too. 65% or 47,335 households indicated a need for more walking, hiking, and biking trails. That was some of the community input we got from our community needs assessment. It came back, hiking and biking trails came back actually tied for second as the most used facilities within Topeka and Shawnee County. The lakes received 63%, and the zoo and the trails tied at 61%. Quickly going through some of these others, the third step of our public engagement process is the concept development. The entire Trails and Greenways plans did do a good job of engaging the public on that. Also, at that time, I know the group that was putting that together also adjusted their plans from those public engagements to what it is today. As you can see, 5 and 6 are up there in red. These are some of the steps that we really didn't get to meet, which we plan to in the future on these type of projects or any type of projects. And that's a review by the concepts by the commission to come back down here to you to let you guys know what it is we're thinking, what it is we're hearing from the community before we go and get projects drawn up and those type of things. And once we leave the commission and get your guys' input, then we go back to the public and tell them what it is we've heard from all of these different groups. Then that's when we prepare the final draft. But then before we ever go and do the final approvals, we also have one more public hearing, and that's with our advisory board and setting up public hearings to do all of those type of things. So you can see the ones in the red we weren't able to complete in this short amount of time frame. Just to give you a brief overview of the time frame, on May 8th, we got an email that said that the KDOT was going to begin considering these type of projects. They held a meeting with all the potential people to apply for these grants on May the 15th. On June the 22nd, we heard from the local MPO that they got together to rank the local projects, and that's when we found out that we were ranked pretty high on the MPO's list. From that, if you approve this today for us to go out to apply for this grant, we will know in November of this year which are the projects they selected. The total estimated cost is $2.4 million. The county's responsibility is a match of about $437,000, but then there's also we need to pay for the design costs and any kind of right-of-way acquisition. Where is this money going to come from? We've researched our budget. In 2018, we will need about $225,000, or actually $218,000 is our estimate. We think we might be able to find that money in our building maintenance fund. The rest of the expenses that the county would have to come up with would be several years down the road, probably in 2019 or 2020. That's when we identified that they would probably do that. And then also keep in mind that if we were successful, it would be this is a reimbursable grant, so the state pays for that, and then we get, and then the reimbursement comes. The project itself probably be a year to maybe 15-month project, so it'll be several years down the road. Knowing that, we did place an item in our 2018 budget request to begin to pay some of those type of things. I know the 2018 budget's not approved yet, but we could see that coming, and we put that in our request. Another question that I'm likely to hear on these type of things is, why do we need it? What's it connect to? I don't know if you guys follow Facebook, but this is a good explanation right here.
Here in the early 1900s up to 1940, it's actually a two-story structure. They have wood hayloft up above and down below where they milk the cattle, and they actually have some wood storage down behind. As we walk along the trails, there are also some other remnants of places like where they had the young cattle, places where they had some grain storage, and also where they had milk storage. We're kind of on the border between the Flint Hills grasslands and the eastern woodlands of Missouri. So over the years, even though this was pasture back in the early 1900s, once it was abandoned, these trees populated themselves because we're closer to the eastern woodlands than we are of the prairie. This is a bur oak. It's becomes a very large tree, very wide, oval-shaped tree. It has giant acorns on it. One of the ways you can tell it's a bur oak is by the acorns. These are the seed pods from a Kentucky coffee tree. Actually, way back when, probably in the 1800s, pioneers would actually use these to supplement their coffee when they didn't have any. The seed pods that are in the seeds were inside these pods. This prairie actually used to be a giant alfalfa field way back when in the early 1900s when Missouri was here. Now we're trying to restore it back to native pasture with some wildflowers, black-eyed wildflowers out in the pasture. Historically, they actually harvested the alfalfa to feed to the elephants.
That is Terry Brayton, who's our park naturalist with our department. The trail, as you can see there, as it winds around, would enter the Dornwood Park with a big section of that area. There is our nature area, and again, I remind you that the access to these natural areas is one of the highest ranked things that the people of Topeka and Shawnee County would like to see. We've begun doing a lot of work there, and I think there's some other costs that may go to help save this, because I'm sure after that presentation, Betty Griner's going to take away our coffee budget and give us the Kentucky coffee tree for us making coffee for the public. So with that being said, again, this is the trail that goes through there. This is an enormous benefit to Topeka and Shawnee County, and I have several people here, from John Boyd to Terry Bertles, that be glad to answer any other questions, specific questions. They worked hard on this project, along with Bill Rippon, who is not here this morning.
Questions or comments, Commissioner Cook?
John, this is part of our master plan,
Absolutely.
and this is also an extension of the Shunga Trail through Resource, Deer Creek, up to Dornwood. Eventually, are there plans to extend it further, connecting our trails to the Lake Shawnee? Is that down the road?
On the east side of our trails network, yes. Where this winds up and goes up to where you can see the ball diamonds, as it winds up to here, come back down here, I've noticed that the Robinson family donated this parcel to us several years ago, but I would come off of here and come up, and that would connect to 29th Street, which would be a short distance then from 29th Street to hook to the Lake Shawnee trails.
The approach you've taken on this project seems to be very similar to a roads project, where we would have a design phase, utility, right-of-way, acquisition, and then actual construction. So we're really looking at maybe a 2-year or longer, 15-month plan.
Absolutely, yes.
Commissioner Bueller?
And again, this is through KDOT?
Yes.
The 80-20 match?
Yes,
And that's how we've been able to construct a lot of our trails.
correct. And the city bikeways too, there's several smaller programs as part of that, but the vast network of trails you see across Kansas are done with this program.
I guess I'm concerned about the state grant because of the dire straits of the state's financial condition. What are the prospects that this will be approved? Do you have any thoughts, Terry or John?
I do know that this is federal money that's being administered by the state.
Okay.
If that rests a little bit.
Okay.
It's money that has to go to trail, or should go to enhancements of some, what do they call it now? It used to be transportation enhancements. What is the name of it?
You know, to be honest with you, I'm not sure what the current acronym is. We call it transportation enhancement, and that
So
seems
it's
to...
pass-through federal funds?
It is,
So
it
it's-
is.
It's free?
KDOT is the administering agency.
Okay. Okay. As far as the design cost, will there be any county money spent before the approval of the grant?
I'm thinking, and I can't think of any.
Okay.
No, we certainly would not spend. Now, Bill Rippon would tell you that it's always best to have that drawing done whether you have an actual grant or not.
Right.
Because then you're the first in the queue when the grant
Well,
process
and
comes.
I think he's got it all mapped out. I remember from
Right.
the MTPO meeting that he does.
But no, right now, all we're doing is applying for a very competitive grant
Okay.
and hoping that we can get it. But there is no money up front,
Okay.
no cost up
Okay.
front.
All right. The only other concern I have is that we're committing over $200,000 without seeing and approving the Parks and Recreation budget. I'm concerned about that, but
One thing that we would intend to do in the future, since I kind of touched on the tight timeline there is no reason why we shouldn't be able to be out 4, 5, 6 years ahead on these grants so that I can sit down with Betty Griner and you guys and plan these things out further in the future than to say, oh, yeah, we need $200,000 and we need it next week.
Okay.
So this should be the last one of these. We should be several years out on our planning.
Okay, the last minute
Mhm.
situations. Okay. Do we have a motion at this point?
I would move for approval of the request to apply for the grant.
I'll second, but I have a question.
Yes.
John, you had talked to me earlier. Was this broken down into phases, or is this just the entire grant, or the
This
entire project?
we considered, and we couldn't get it done in the short time frame. The extension that I was just talking about with Commissioner Cook, the one that would go all the way
That
on
would
up
be
to
like
29th
phase
Street.
2 or something?
Yes, so
Okay.
this is a smaller piece of that. KDOT and the federal grant funding people do like to see that it connect to something and not just stop somewhere. So this is a beneficial. We'll get a little bit more points because it actually connects to the rest of the trail system.
And to the bikeways plan, and to the pedestrian plan, that's pretty big too. Okay, sorry.
Okay. Motion made to adopt the resolution by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Next item, please.
Okay, now we can say item F1 has been pulled, and now we can have administrative communication certified.
Come on up, Randy.
Good morning, Commissioners. Randy Luby with Parks and Recreation. If you recall, back in January, Shawnee County Parks and Recreation received a Blue Chip Award from Blue Cross and Blue Shield at our annual conference. We will have an official presentation of that award Wednesday, July 12th at 11:30 at our Shawnee North Fitness Loop. We're very proud to receive this award, and just to give you a brief what the Blue Chip program is all about is a community health improvement program designed to recognize and reward Kansas communities who encourage and support healthy lifestyles through programs, initiatives, and policies. So we're very proud to receive this award, and we invite the public to come out at 11:30 at the Shawnee North Fitness Loop.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. Others for administrative communications this morning?
Barry Beagle, Shawnee County Planning Department. I just wanted to indicate that we held the final public open house on the comprehensive plan on June 15th, and we are now on track to go to public hearing before the Planning Commission on August 14th. We don't know whether it'll be one or several meetings to go through the planning process, but we actually hope to bring the comprehensive plan document to you by September of this year. So at least that's the goal at this point. I just wanted to let you know about that, and that about the public hearing on August 14th. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Good morning.
Donna Casebear, Kansas Expo Center. This past weekend, we hosted the Buckskin Show in Domer Arena, and everyone was very appreciative of the fans because it made a huge difference for the weekend. And they only had 2 of the 3 running, so once this week goes in, I'm sure the 3rd one will be up and running as well. We also hosted the RK gun shows. Had about 2,000 people come through over the weekend. This is traditionally a smaller show just because of the time of year. So that was on track. This next week, starting on Friday, we are going on sale for the Big Church Night Out, which is the Newsboys concert that's going to be happening September 28th. The pre-sale will start on the 13th. 14th, 10 a.m., we'll start the actual on-sale. On July 15th, we will be hosting the Sunflower State Games in Exhibition Hall and Landon Arena, as well as the 4-H Horse Show in Domer Arena. Then the next week, on July 20th, of course, we have Third Thursday, which is going to be our casino night, and we will be working with the Topeka VA Medical Center for sponsoring that evening, which will also start the Shawnee County Fair, July 20th through the 23rd. And then on July 30th, we will be hosting the Topeka Capital Journal Bridal Fair in Exhibition Hall. So finally, for this weekend, one item on July 15th, Saturday, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. in the north parking lot. We will be hosting, along with United Way and Vallejo Behavioral Health Center, a drug take-back day, which is a drive-through in the north lot. Any of your expired prescriptions or any of those medical supplies that you are no longer needing, it is a drive-through. Everything will be picked up by Vallejo and disposed of properly. So from 10 to 12 on Saturday.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. Commissioner Bueller.
Well, believe it or not, it has been 10 years since the Rossville Pool opened, and so we are planning a celebration for this coming Saturday, July 15th. From 11 to noon, we're going to have some free food, watermelon, hot dogs, that sort of thing, and then from 12 to 5 is, of course, swimming. Rossville Community Foundation is covering the cost of admission. And there'll be Kona Ice and prizes and games and all that kind of stuff. So sponsored by the Shawnee County Parks and Recreation and the City of Rossville and Rossville Community Foundation. So we hope that you can come out. We're not going to plan any presentation or anything. It's just everybody come in and have some fun. So hopefully you can come out, everybody.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Bueller. Commissioner Cook?
I understand that at 10:30 this morning, there's going to be an announcement
Right.
with Westar.
Yes.
And look forward to what they are announcing, and it has a huge impact on our community and the vitality of Topeka and Shawnee County.
Very good, very
Definitely.
good. Thank you. The only thing I've got is we continue budget hearings today, and we have the county clerk scheduled at 11 o'clock. Public Works and Solid Waste is scheduled for, did I say 1? County Clerk at 11, Public Works at 1, Planning at 2 o'clock, and the Appraiser's Office at 3. So be sure to attend. We'll have a great time. And next item, please.
Item 6, executive session.
There's not a need, so we're officially adjourned. Thank you for coming.